Hey church, it's good to be together with you through worshiping here in this moment together. It's a new year. It's a time of thinking and remembering. We still have a little buzz, right, from what's coming forth before us. Today we think of baptism together. So, friends, pay attention. The Spirit of God is here because we're here together. Let us worship.
Oh, let all who thirst, let them come to the water, and let all who have nothing, let them come to the Lord, without money, without price. Why should you pay the price except for the Lord? And let all who toil, let them come to the water, and let all who are weary, let them come to the Lord. All who labor without rest, how can your soul find rest except for the Lord? And let all the poor, let them come to the water. Bring the ones who are laden, bring them all to the Lord. Bring the children without might. Easy the load and light. Come to the Lord.
Our scripture today comes from Isaiah 42. Here is my servant, whom I uphold, my chosen, in whom my soul delights. I have put my spirit upon him. He will bring forth justice to the nations. He will not cry or lift up his voice or make it heard in the street. A bruised reed he will not break, and a dimly burning wick he will not quench. He will faithfully bring forth justice. He will not grow faint or be crushed until he has established justice on earth, and the coastlands wait for his teaching. Thus says the God, the Lord, who created the heavens and stretched them out, who spread out the earth and what comes from it, who gives breath to the people upon it, and spirit to those who walk in it. I am the Lord, I have called you in righteousness. I have taken you by the hand and kept you. I have given you as a covenant to the people, to the nations, to open the eyes that are blind, to bring out the prisoners from the dungeon, from the prisoners those who sit in darkness. I am the Lord, that is my name. My glory I give to no other, nor my praise to idols. See, the former things have passed, and new things I now declare. Before they spring forth, I tell you of them.
It is a tender moment, this child that comes before the congregation, tender, little, fragile, beautiful. They're coming to these waters, and we're all here together to witness it. The family has brought this child, a type of recognition that they need more, more support, more community, a longing of sorts. Even for those who are more on the periphery of these religious things, it's still a tender moment. It's still a moment where your heart is stirred just a little bit. And so we say words together. We make promises to these parents and to this child. We claim that we're sharing words, well, really on behalf of this God that we believe in. Words of blessing, words of care, words of affirmation, words of support. We claim that in this moment, when we gather together, that something beyond the obvious is happening, that the Spirit is coming down in a way that's mysterious and beautiful, that this child is being gifted and granted with a kind of grace that will walk alongside them for the rest of their life. Even before they even know it, we're claiming that this God and this grace are present and there, in some ways making that presence visible for this family and this child. It is a tender moment. Now, certainly when there's a child in the mix, that tenderness might be much more obvious. But the reality of baptism is that it is a tender moment, whether you are 6 weeks old or you are 100 years old and you're coming to the waters. It is God's activity in our life together. So often, though, we wonder, what is this about beyond the moment? What's happening here? And first, I want to say that it's a type of mystery. We do so out of responding to Jesus' own baptism. We reenact Jesus' activity here, Jesus' doing here. Each time we do a baptism, we're in some ways reenacting, reliving, remembering this ancient pattern of Jesus. Where as we remember, the heavens opened up and the voice of God was heard, "In you I am well pleased." But something else is happening here. This is where this ancient prophet comes in handy for us. This passage you just heard, it reminds us of something here, and that is that baptism at its best really reminds us not just of the belovedness of this human being that's before us, not just of this the dignity that this human being has, not just of this image of God that seals this human being, but that this human being is an expression of God's creative activity, that it is God who's at work in the world, and with each new human being, with each human being that is born, we have a new way of remembering this God who's at work in the world in loving, amazing, beautiful, joyful ways. And that this God then, that is seen in the ways of these human ones before us, then this God does something else, which is that this God calls us to be a people, a community together. This God recognizes our tendencies to want to do things our own way, our tendencies to disconnect, our tendencies to distance, our tendencies to dismember. And this God in baptism calls us to the waters, the waters of new birth, the waters of life, the waters of creation, as a reminder that we belong. We belong to a people, into a very particular kind of people. No matter what our story looks like, where we were born or who we claim to be, it doesn't matter whether we have all our stuff together or not. It doesn't matter what family we came from or neighborhood we grew up in. We come to these waters and we're part of a covenant community, a community of promise, a community that has a shared life, a community that is seeking together, striving towards certain things. In this ancient text, it was a community that, as the prophet himself tells us, a community that was to be a kind of light to the nations, a community that was supposed to be a witness to something. Well, a witness to God, a witness to good news, a witness to love, a witness to justice and peace and reconciliation. So the waters of baptism initiate us and incorporate us into that kind of community. As we are, if you're an infant, you are just an apprentice in this work. We are promising then to help shape you into that way of being in the world. If you're an adult, you're making promises you're choosing to enter this community in that way. And so now you're with eyes open, you're alert and ready to live into those realities, to strive towards something, bigger, better, stronger, more whole. We becoming a walking community that lives into the way of Jesus in the world. But there's something else, that being in the world, that way, that witness is rooted in a recognition. And it's a recognition that this ancient prophet tells us today, which is that so often is the case where we find ourselves not being able to see clearly. That humanity often can find themselves out of the way of love and out of the way of justice and out of the way of peace and out of the way of wholeness. That we get lost. We get disoriented and disordered, and so the waters of baptism. Every time someone comes to the waters, we're in some ways together confessing and recognizing that all of us lose our way, and because we lose our way, we have an opportunity now. We have an opportunity by these waters and by this new one, this beloved one coming to become part of this community of witness to this love, to this good news, to this God. Now we are all growingly aware that we too must reconnect and revive and recommit to this way of life again. With each one, a new opportunity for us to gather. Now, that creates an interesting dilemma for all of us as a community, because then the waters of baptism also open our eyes in a different way. They open our eyes to the hurts and struggles and injustices of the world. They open our eyes to the ways that the world does not live into the promises of God for it. So we become deeply awakened. Sometimes that creates a type of sadness. In some parts of the scriptures, they call it a type of righteous indignation, a certain type of holy anger to the ways. But then baptism does something else. The baptism then says, yes, that's right, but you're the community of witness, but you're also the community of action. If you're to be a light to the nations, then you need to be actively pursuing, actively living, actively modeling this way for the world. And that's not always easy. These days it seems almost impossible, naive, silly. But here we are together. These waters calling our name, waters of life, waters of hope, of new beginning. And then as we live this out together, as we witness other folk coming to these waters, as we reclaim who we are as God's own, then we become, well, proclaimers. As the ancient text tells us today, that this God has been at work in us in the past. This God is at work with us now. And this God is doing a new thing in us and through us into the future. It's no accident that we have this kind of story at the beginning of another year. We, all of us, needing a type of reorientation, a new start. So today we're reminded. So think about your baptism. Think of the waters. There's an old legend that says that the great reformer Martin Luther would often wash his face in the mornings and remind himself that he's baptized. Maybe as you brush your teeth this morning, or as you take a drink of water later today, maybe you touch the waters and you remind yourself you belong to God. You belong to God. You're part of the community of covenant, of promise. You're not alone. You are witness to this God, to this love. You're part of God's creating activity. Yes, you. And hey, if you've never come to the waters, send me an email. We can gather together and celebrate your hunger, your angst, your desire to lean towards something more, to lean towards God's promise. The God who still says, in you I am well pleased. Yes, in you. The God who has been faithful, who is faithful, and who's doing a new thing in you, in us, and in the world into the future. That's good news indeed.
Friends, I am so glad that we were able to worship together right now. I know you heard a good sermon from JC on baptism, about that's our fundamental identity. We're part of the divine life. But listen, if you have not been baptized, call First-Plymouth. We love to help someone have that moment in their life, that transformation. But now, hear this benediction. Surrender your anxious cares to God. Find your joy in serving others. Have a peaceful heart, and then take that peace and love to others. Amen.